All right, everybody, welcome into what is not episode 8. I looks like I did not change the graphic for that. That is phenomenal. So welcome in to the Charlie Fry episode. That's right, episode 9 of the Barking Brown Show. So far, I have only done quarterback analogies, and that's just because, well, there's so many of them. I am your host, Jacob, over at Roaches and 13. It's on the screen for those of you watching the video, the audio only version. It is in the description of the YouTube channel as well as the podcast channel. I am joined, as always, by my co-host. He is on my left, your right, the man that doesn't miss, Nick Carnes at Carnesies817. Nick, how are we doing tonight?
You know what? Today was an explosive day on Twitter. thanks to a certain someone that I'm sure we'll dive into here. It's been a good time. It's been a good time.
It's funny too because the topic in question was already a topic that the three of us, we have a special guest tonight, I'll introduce her in just a second, we're already talking about. And then he was like, you know what, guys, I know you got a live show tonight. Let's make it even more explosive and let's give you some more ammunition. We are going to get into Baker Mayfield plenty. Trust us. We've got plenty of things to say. This man actually made me say, I don't like to say mean things or name call, but I think I may have called this Mike Tannenbaum some names this evening. So, or today on Twitter. So I apologize. So we're going to get right over to our guest. She is phenomenal. She deals with way more bullshit on the internet than I ever could. I've said this a million times. I could not be a woman on Twitter in any facet. So I don't know how she deals with the stupid bullshit side of it, but she is one of the co-hosts of one of my favorite podcasts. I've referenced that's what we said a million different times here on the show. I use the phrase Dale in my everyday life. I have taught very, very, very many people what that means, and I will continue to be an advocate for the term for the rest of all time. So we're going to get our great guest on here tonight. We have Bree at Breezy Clee. Bree, how are we doing tonight?
Hi, guys. I'm doing well. Happy to be joining you.
We have got some fiery topics, guys. We have got, I know the three of us are very passionate about the topics that we're going to get to this evening. So I think we're just going to dive right on into it. So tonight we're going to talk about the tight ends. We're going to talk about Baker Mayfield. We got a special top 5. If I can find time to squeeze it in, we're going to even talk about Anthony Schwartz a little bit, as he is the next guy on our film deep dive that we need to get to. So I want to go to the tight end room real quick because this is a topic that isn't as prevalent in everybody's mind, and I want to get your guys' kind of opinion on this situation with the tight end room. I think the tight end room is really good. I'm really excited about the tight end room. I want to get you guys to kind of weigh in on. I saw a lot of back and forth about the tight ends last week, which was why I put this on this rundown and asked you guys what you if you wanted to talk about this topic and the Njoku versus the Hooper thing. I see a lot of guys that saying that the Njoku's number one blocking tight end was actually exaggerated because he didn't play as many snaps and that sort of thing. Of course, he was dealing with some injuries, and I know Hooper was as well. And early on, Njoku didn't seem to be utilized very well. I have a real issue with people saying that, oh, well, Njoku wasn't very consistent. He was really, really good at the end of the year. He was still, I saw somebody tell me that he was actually the number 3 tight end, not only in where he was as production, but as talent. He was the least talented tight end in the room. Someone told me that on Twitter, and physically raw, like in terms of physical talent, David Njoku is probably one of the most physically gifted tight ends, I would say, probably around the league. I know he still needs to utilize that, but that's where we are. So Baker, in the end, Njoku only graded 2 points lower than Hooper over the year. So where do you guys sit on the rankings of them back and forth between Hooper and Njoku?
Go ahead, Nick. I'll let you go first.
Oh, okay. Oh, well, I appreciate that. You know what? I've just said that personally that I think David Njoku is our best tight end. And I just think from Well, there's a couple different standpoints here, and the thing that sticks out to me is that Kevin Stefanski said, you want to be able to make it look like you're either going to run or pass on any play. And the whatever he said escapes me right now. But clearly I haven't had enough coffee. But as we, even if his grade is a little skewed based on the fact that he has limited snaps, when you have David Njoku on the field, if you, obviously he's the most athletic tight end that we have, and for him to have grown into the run blocking role that he did, that puts you at an advantage no matter which way you want to go in terms of offense. And so to me, that makes him the most diverse, and that lines up exactly with what Stefanski himself said. And I still think even when the Browns were struggling offensively, so you could probably say two of the biggest offensive struggle games the Browns had were week 1 against the Ravens and the final week against the Chiefs when they really clamped down. And I still think about how David Njoku was still finding ways to get open and still finding ways to make plays in both of those games. And to me, I just think from that perspective, David offers something that Harrison Bryant and Austin Hooper don't. And that's not like a discredit to what they have as well, but I just think he's more explosive and offers that athleticism that is rarer.
Yeah, I mean, David Njoku's biggest criticism before heading into last season was his drop passes, right? Like he was not consistent, not necessarily reliable, definitely really athletic, but you couldn't count on him to catch passes. And I feel like that has been his biggest improvement overall. He now is reliable. He is consistent. I mean, there were moments last year where he was making critical catches on third downs to convert and extend a drive. And that is something that I don't think we necessarily saw from him before. So kudos to the coaching staff and David himself for getting the best out of him. I think that's what we saw last year. And I think we will continue to see him grow heading into this year. And listen, I'm all for keeping the competition in that room. I think Harrison Bryant is definitely a rising star and could have a breakout year this year. He was one that struggled with catching passes towards the end of the season. I was surprised at how much playing time he got at the beginning of the year. And then as he made those mistakes, how that kind of fell off. So I feel really confident in this room. You know, with what we're paying for Austin Hooper, I wish we would have seen a bit more from him. But again, we have so many offensive weapons. It's really hard to say we need more because we have a lot.
Yeah, no, that's the best way I think you can sum it up. Like, it's funny that you say, wow, we're talking about this. Are we talking about the Browns here? Is that what we're,
surprise.
Yeah.
I'm
disappointed. I'm disappointed I couldn't find my Stefanski Barry shirt to wear tonight. I must have wore it sometime in the last 2 weeks. But like, it's the era that we're in. Like, it's wild that we're having a conversation about like, oh man, did we get enough out of our 3 good tight ends that play the same, 3 good players that play the same position? Yeah, I'm with you. And David Njoku stepping up as a blocker last year, I think was just, I didn't see it coming because it was really like, it was a testament to the work he put in because he wanted out. Because he wanted to go be the guy somewhere. And I don't have a problem with somebody wanting to go be the guy. I understand that. So he requested that trade. But then instead of like pouting when he didn't get it, the dude put his head down and he just got better at everything we said he wasn't good at. He drops too many passes. He was the best weapon for Baker Mayfield in that playoff game. I went back and watched some of those catches and things he did against Kansas City, and he was putting his body on the line and showing that athleticism in blocking in that game as well. I'm going to jump over here and get caught up with the comments. And our boy Extra Crispy Wings said he was late, but that's all right because we were late too. Look, Tony is in here again, and when Tony's in here, we know it's going to be a good night. So he's very proud.
Hey, listen, do we have an update? Is Nick still beating me in the Browns best competition? I can't even believe that I'm here. Like, we should not, like, should we be together? Like, are we even friends right now?
No, you know what?
I'm checking.
I saw we were paired against each other, and I was of all the, and it's funny because I knew we were doing this tonight, and that's a good question because so Bree, you might not. I work really wonky hours and I sleep during the day, so I saw it this morning and was thinking about it, and then it just left my brain when I slept today. So I would love to know. That's you know what? Good luck. I think I said this under the comments. It would be an honor to lose. It would be an honor to lose. I'm just saying. You got the little dude. He's awesome. You make all kinds of cool content yourself. I haven't checked as of lately, but we can't even. Liz is amazing, and unfortunately, she was harassed, which seems to be the case these days in the Twitter streets. But we can't even campaign for ourselves with a quote tweet. It's just whoever sees it. That's the thing I was sad about. I went to retweet and I realized
I haven't.
Who did you vote for, Jacob?
I haven't.
Wow.
It is sitting right here on my phone right now.
Oh, he has it. There's the proof.
You can see it. You can see it.
Yeah. Here, I can check. I
voted.
You did. Okay. Oh no.
Oh.
Where are we at? Ooh. No hard feelings, Jacob. I understand. Bree's a legend.
I voted for Bree. I'm
losing,
Nick,
huh?
Yeah, Nick's up 60-40 in this.
Wow.
Yeah, tough competition.
That's not what I expected.
How many votes?
65.
I demand a recount of those 65 people.
It's uneven.
I will be reaching out to Liz to see if there's anything that can be done.
Like Liz, just unprotect for a little bit. Don't go on Twitter. We'll retweet really fast, and then you can protect it. You can lock right back up. It'll be fine.
Just for us, just unprotect for us. Totem weighing in wants to let us know, as a former 49ers fan, Vernon Davis dropped a lot of passes that were easy. I see something similar with Njoku. However, he did look better this year. And hey, I have no problem if a guy early has an issue or something. Listen, becoming an NFL athlete, I mean, especially tight ends, like Greg Olsen talked about it today. He's like, we're expected to do what a left tackle does and a wide receiver does. Yeah. And there's so many offensive coordinators that quite literally will put, tight ends on Myles Garrett. I've seen it. I don't suggest it.
Yeah, exactly.
Could you imagine being like Harrison Bryant? And I love Harrison Bryant, former offensive lineman, but you get Harrison Bryant as a rookie too, and you just like, hey man, C95, figure it out.
I did think it was really, they're doing these various like Von Miller ran I think defensive end U or whatever they're calling it. Mm-hmm. And is Shannon Sharp? I'm not sure. I'm not sure who the tight end is that's running the mass gathering.
Isn't it Kittle?
It might be George Kittle. I'm not sure.
I thought it was Kelsey. Kelsey was doing. Wasn't he doing tight end at University?
Right. You're right.
I think both of them are there. I think Kittle and Kelsey are there, but I think you're right.
But I saw Hooper was there, which was for what it's worth, you surround yourself with he's there too. So you surround yourself with the best in the business, and that's encouraging. I think it's crazy because you'd think like most teams it's like you've got one tight end and that's where you put all your stock, but all three of them are exciting.
Yeah.
I think that's a solid tight end conversation. I have a really, really hard hitting question here. Okay. All right. Nick's laughing. He knows.
Oh boy.
Anybody who's watching knows exactly. This was not put in the rundown. Bree is not prepared. We are getting this live. I have a tally. Your vote goes in the tally.
Okay.
So I need to know, is cereal soup?
No. What?
Oh, come on.
Wait, I'm sorry I let you down. Are you going to take back your vote for me?
No, because Nick doesn't think it's soup either. So it's a house divided.
Okay.
I'm Team Brie here.
I specifically, soup to me needs to be hot. I know that not all soups are hot, but that is my preference for soup is hot.
So, I just throw this in there because I like to have fun. We're having fun, you know. You guys talk about it as your therapy session. It is ours as well. For the record, Caitlin Marshall weighed in on this on Twitter and said that cereal is morning soup.
Morning soup.
So we're just making things up now.
We are. Yes, that is.
And I love Caitlin.
That is 100% what we are doing.
We're just gonna make things up.
we got Extra Crispy Wings says that it's not. God, no, he says no, it's not. Roger's over here. He said he's late, but he made it. We love you, Roger. We're glad you're in here as well. I know you
Roger.
were. I know he was out with, I believe, a football camp or a baseball camp with his children, I think, is what he said. So I know I talked to him earlier. We love to give Roger crap because he's in our group chat, and we call it, he's our resident grumpy old man.
Yes.
And so we give him crap.
Jacob, I'm getting excited because I know it's coming, and you know what? It's been building all day, and it was a nice reminder that Brown's Twitter is alive and well today because we're like, I mean, let's face it, we're in like this dead period between camp and rookie mini camp and OTAs and all that stuff, and there's not really anything going on until Mike Tannenbaum decides to not once but twice. What was the second time in 2 weeks? His first comments were last week, right? Yeah, I'm sorry. I just got a message from Bree. Her power just clicked off. Oh no! She is getting back on right now. So, let's jump. Hold that thought because we need to have her in here for that. Oh, she's waiting for her Wi-Fi reboot. Our friend from Australia, David, is checking in.
Did he make it?
He did make it.
Good morning from Melbourne. Hey, I need to find out, my friend David. I need to find out. My aunt lives in Australia. She's been stuck there since the pandemic. She married her husband, who's in Australia. I can't remember where exactly, but I think she lives close to Melbourne. That sounds like sounds familiar to me. All right,
Jacob. I don't mean to leave you. Give me 1 second. I'm sorry.
You're fine. Okay, so I will answer these questions. What makes the biggest difference between porridge or oatmeal and cereal besides temperature? Aren't they all breakfast in a bowl with different consistencies? You know what they are. I'm really just more of a shit starter, and I love just crazy things like a cereal soup. I know it's not soup, guys. It's okay, but it's really soup. Extra Crispy Wings talking about our good friend Roger over there. Good day as well. Happy to have you over there. I love it because we've got some, yeah, man, I will ask her where she lives and I will let you know. That's really cool. I hope that's just kind of cool. Be like, yeah, I know. Right. Nick wasn't here to defend the is cereal soup thing. So I'm going to talk major trash about cereal being soup. Oh shit. Here he comes. I wasn't doing anything. There she is.
Never.
We ran our mouths about cereal being soup.
Okay, I was going to say, you said that cereal was soup and lightning struck my house. I lost power for like 3 minutes straight. And I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this just happened.
I guess cereal isn't soup. I didn't know I would learn
It's not.
today.
It's not. I mean, if that's not a sign, I don't know what is.
We were going...
Just saying.
We had this brewing right as the lightning struck because they knew the onslaught that we were about to bring.
Yeah.
I put this as the caption for those that cannot see. Baker Mayfield, the constant disrespect is ridiculous. Now, I want Nick is really rearing to go. So I think we might have to let him go first because he is rearing over there and he's ready to go. And then of course I'll let Bree weigh in because I know that my voice is going to go really high pitched and screechy because I have many words to say. Nick, you are chomping at the bit, man. Unleash about the disrespect Baker has faced, not once, but twice on major shots fired from Mike Tannenbaum, the same man who traded up and he traded up for Mark Sanchez as the number 5th overall pick in 2009. Let's remember that.
You know, and there are so many ways to come at this. And so on Twitter, and you know what? And that's the way it immediately stuck out to me on Twitter is that Tannenbaum uses the word replaceable. And so I understand that there are better quarterbacks in the NFL than Baker Mayfield. I understand that. But if Baker was so replaceable, the Browns between 1999 and 2018 would have found someone who had anywhere near the talent or could help them bring the success that Baker has, right? It's taken 19 years and 29 starting quarterbacks to get to a guy that can actually drive the Browns to be successful, to finally make the playoffs, to finally win in Heinz Field, to have real legitimate Super Bowl dreams. And so you cannot tell me that almost 2 decades worth of waiting is simply replaceable. I can't do it. I can't. And so a lot of people say, you know, like, because so I quote tweet this and talk about it on Twitter today, which you know what? It's so nice. It's so nice to just like be able to talk Brown stuff again. Oh God, I missed it. Mm-hmm. But you know, but a lot of people are saying, you know, oh, Tannenbaum just wants clicks. Tannenbaum just wants interactions. And so to that I say, it's like if you are just talking out of your behind, right? Like how does that bolster you? What does that do? So who are the people that you're bringing to look at you and to talk about you? Like, does that really benefit you at all? And so I just it has been Jacob and I have talked about this before, Bree, that, you know, we're both 30. And so for the vast majority of our lives, it's basically like 99 and forward that Browns history is like us. And so it's literally been our entire adult life that we have been searching for this quarterback. And I know you're like right there with us, but I'm just saying it's like something that Jacob and I have gone through.
It's a reoccurring theme that we like to bring up.
Yeah.
For a lot of Browns fans.
Yeah. And I feel myself getting riled up. We're bringing it back. Okay. But
deep breath, coping mechanism. I have to do this with my 5-year-old. You know, take some time.
Shout out to the little dude, by the way.
I hear him like upstairs pounding around. I'm like just waiting for him to barge in and be like, "Hey."
I would love that personally.
He's probably only in his underwear, so I don't know. It's probably not.
But that's
live. I can't edit quick enough, probably.
And you know, Bree, I saw you had a great tweet about this today too, which I only recently got to see. But so that's why. So I think that segues really nicely into where you came from with it.
Yeah, we've talked about this on our show until we're blue in the face, because this discussion, for whatever reason, about Baker seems to come up, I don't know, once a month, even in season, mostly after games that the Browns lose or Baker doesn't play as well. Like he always gets questioned on, is he really the right quarterback? Is he the franchise quarterback? Is he the reason that the Browns win football games? And I think it's really hard to deny the fact that he isn't the one. I mean, when Baker Mayfield plays well, there's a pretty good chance the Browns are going to win. And my point that I brought up today was this whole system quarterback argument, for whatever reason, it's a knock on Baker himself to have a good coach and to have a system that is set up for him, to set up for the team's success. I mean, how dare they put a bunch of guys and talent around Baker Mayfield and get a competent coaching staff and spend time together and watch film together? Like, how dare the Browns do this? Like, why don't they just throw him in and expect him just to carry the team on his back? I mean, it's ridiculous. The Ravens are a prime example of this. They drafted Lamar Jackson and they built an entire scheme around Lamar Jackson because that's the smart thing to do. And for whatever reason, Baker Mayfield, it's a negative. Now, what I will say about Baker Mayfield, this gets me fired up too. I'm already like, okay, calm down, take some deep breaths. I've been dying on the Baker Mayfield hill since 2018, actually. But, we as Browns fans, we talk about this a lot, but he's had a lot of turnover in his young career, a lot of different coaching staffs, a lot of different changes in his mechanisms. Team members that have changed in and out the door. He's had a lot of inconsistencies in his young career, and for the most part, he has overcome them. And I don't think it's fair to judge Baker right now, like 2019, for whatever reason, overshadows the success that he has had. And it's really unfortunate.
Before and after.
Yeah, because like 2019 almost wiped out his rookie debut because he had a pretty solid rookie debut. I mean, he set the touchdown record for rookies. And 2019 came, there was a lot of hype around the team. I mean, we bought into it. We fed it. I mean, how could you not be excited after that?
Yeah.
But for whatever reason, that kind of wiped out 2018. And a lot of the conversation turned to, well, it was just lightning in a bottle, right? It's not sustainable success. It was just luck of the draw. And then 2020 came around and it was like, well, of course he was efficient. He performed well. It was all about Kevin Stefanski. I shouldn't say no one. A lot of the national media are not apt to give Baker Mayfield credit. They will give credit to everyone else around him for his success. But when the team loses or there's a fault, it's on Baker Mayfield. So make that make sense to me. You can't.
It's Case Keenum. That's the only reason he's successful, right? I had to get that. I'm going to catch up on these comments because we've had a lot of people that are very passionate about this, and then I will say my little 2 cents because you made me think of a good couple of points there, Bree. Because I that's why I love not doing this show alone because like it just when other people talk, it's just I think it stirs things in what kind of exists up in my head. So porridge is amazing. Add sultanas.
Oh, hi, David.
Yeah, he cream and honey. Okay, I'm gonna take that. Ed's
Our
being
Aussie
very
friend.
mean to me.
Yeah.
Ed is being very mean to me. He wants to know if shit in a bowl is soup.
Oh,
Ed,
my God, Ed.
That is disrespectful, Ed. So David weighs in. He wanted you to know, Bree, that it's your mate, Bluey.
My Bluey mate. He's the best.
I wanted to make sure I brought that up because I wanted to make sure because he stuck that in there. I wanted to make sure you had seen that one. We saw a much more mature Baker. Do you guys believe he still uses those clickbait shots as motivation, or has he moved past that stuff in his maturation? I would say you will never hear him admit it ever again. I don't think he'll ever admit it ever again, except for maybe when he wins the Super Bowl MVP this year. he might admit it then, but yeah, oh no, Baker sees it. There's just like that was ingrained. I mean, he was a 2-time walk-on. He was deemed undraftable by our favorite host at Fox Sports 1 and then became the number 1 pick. Baker's never going to lose that swagger. I told my dad that during 2019. I said, there's one thing I will not worry about is Baker's confidence. I don't think it'll ever be shaken. Extra Crispy Wings is right. Joey Suryatt actually weighed in on the Mike Tannenbaum thing not too long before we went live. If you guys haven't seen it, it was like 2 minutes long or whatever. And it was probably one of Joey's best weigh-ins as well. So Mike Tannenbaum hasn't found another job since being fired. Before we trash him for not getting another job, I'd like to know how much money he makes. Is he making more money doing clickbait?
Sure. I mean, he's driving engagement. People are responding, quote tweeting the video. I mean, the thing about the Browns and the national media is they know that they're going to get clicks and content and people are going to talk about it because we have a really loyal fan base.
Mm-hmm. If you see
go
ahead.
No,
sorry.
I was just gonna say when I listened to him, I did not engage, by the way. But his perspective almost made it seem like he didn't actually watch a Browns game last year. So I just have a really hard time with some of these things that get thrown out there, because I think one of his points was for Baker Mayfield to have a successful 2021 season, he needs his wide receivers, Odell Beckham specifically, to be healthy for a 17-game season. And I'm sitting there thinking, well, he was barely around for the season last year, and Baker Mayfield actually performed better. So I hate that argument, by the way, but I will just say, like, these are the same people that argued that Baker Mayfield's better without Odell, and then their argument to be good this year is that he needs to have Odell Beckham. I mean, it's just wild where they come up with this stuff.
Do you guys remember after the Steelers destroyed us in week 6? Blech. I think it was week 6.
No, I blacked that out.
Yes, I talked so much shit that week, and then we just got boat race. It was
we were 4-0 going into that game. So there was like 4-1. So there was like a lot of hype. AFC North was on the line, right, for that game.
Rivalry's back.
But then the first take is like the premiere show, after that week. And the first thing, of course, it's from Stephen A., resident Steelers fan, is free Odell Beckham, right? You have to free Odell Beckham. Yeah. You're never going to be successful in Cleveland. But now, after the Browns have been successful, like you said, now we need, and I'm not trying to discredit Odell. I think Odell's great. And shout out to your dog, Jacob. I love you.
Yeah, my dog's sneaking in.
It's just like the butt in the air. It's another sign.
But
his toys are on the bed.
It's one or the other, though, right? It's like either you, and I think like Odell only will help the offense, in my opinion, because I agree with you, Bree, that I hate that argument that the whole offensive. How does an offense improve by subtracting talent?
Exactly.
I can't. Yeah. And so, but it's one or the other, and I can't. If the Browns had their most successful season since I don't even know when, before they
2000, was it 2007? Was that the? I mean,
yeah, they were 10-6, but and so that's what I'm saying. It's like they did that when Odell goes down in week 6, 7.
Exactly.
Week 7. So how are you going to say that it must be healthy? Like, you're just ignoring what happened.
He's not the only one. I think it was Maurice Jones-Drew on NFL Network today that also said that for the Browns season to not be it wasn't a direct shot at Baker Mayfield, but I think I kind of took it as one. He said that for the Browns to not have a disappointing season, so to not have a disappointing season, that Odell Beckham and Jarvis Landry must be the most one of the most productive tandems in the entire league. And I'm thinking, just like we just talked about, I mean, come on. I just, everybody's in here, Bree with the fire. That's what coming in here. Ed says that Baker's better than Bernie.
It's funny though that the media, the national media specifically, is spending all of their focus on the Browns offense. The Browns offense hasn't really changed. Like, the Browns offense is the most consistent thing coming off of last year, and I don't think that was the problem. It's the defense that is really the big question mark and the big unknown, but yet all of the question mark is still on Baker Mayfield and the offense, when, quite frankly, it should be even better than this year.
They're the only non-question mark.
Spending an offseason together and not having to change playbooks. Like, I have full faith in Kevin Stefanski being able to evolve, and I don't think he actually showed us his full deck of cards last year. I just don't.
No. He spent half the year teaching his offense.
Yeah.
Totem says, how many times do you need to see a unicorn fly? That's right. My
do
friend
you remember
over here,
too? I mean, how could you forget this game? It was against the Ravens at home. Was that a Sunday night, Monday night? I always forget which night that was. Monday night. Yeah. Okay. Mm-hmm. And obviously that was a very exciting game, even though the Browns ended up not winning the game. It was just an offensive battle between Baker, Lamar. I mean, he obviously left the game and came back, but I remember watching Good Morning Football the next morning about recapping that game and how exciting it was. And even though the Browns lost, I think it was Kyle that made this comment. It could have been the other one.
Peter.
But I remember him saying that Baker Mayfield just ran out of time. And that was the reason that the Browns lost, because it wasn't about the defense on either side of the ball. Like, no one was stopping anyone. It was a matter of who had enough time with the ball in their hands at the end of the game. And that show is actually probably one of the only shows that's been pretty fair on Baker and the Browns all last season, and even prior to that. And I think about that a lot too. You know, one of my biggest question marks about Baker last year was, do you trust him at the end of a game when the game is on the line to have the ball in his hands, to be able to drive down the field and win a game? And he proved that multiple times over last year. So I just go back to, like, there were many games, even in the losses, where Baker Mayfield played exceptionally well, and he was the reason we were even in the game.
He is the only reason you had a shot against Kansas City. I mean, Nick Chubb dropped a couple of passes. And we're enormous Nick Chubb stands on this show, but like, he dropped a couple of passes. Andy Reid admitted it. He went for it on 4th down because he did not want to give Baker Mayfield the ball back. I mean, I think you get Baker Mayfield the ball back. They could have beat Buffalo.
I remember tweeting about that. And how many people attacked me for saying that Andy Reid didn't want to give Baker Mayfield the ball back. Like, the amount of Kansas City people in my mentions was unreal.
God. So, you know what? Sorry. I just want to say real quick to your point, Bree. I still think about how that game against Baltimore could have gotten out of hand because the Browns were down like 14.
Yeah, 2 scores.
And because he threw that pick and they scored.
Yep.
Yeah. But then I remember it was like 4th and like more than 10, and Baker throws a bullet into the end zone to convert, and he converted a long 4th down before that to even get. And it was like, I already believed in Baker, but to see them instead of, you know, letting the game become a blowout, bring it right back to a tie game, converting long 4th downs, was really important, because then again, you know, the Browns are down to the Chiefs, and again, you know, Baker throws that dime to Austin Hooper, and leads them down the field when they absolutely had to have it. So I think you've seen, and then, you know, of course, the Cincinnati game as time expires. But I think you've seen, you know, time and time again. I mean, obviously he's not always successful because the Browns get the ball back against the Chiefs and they don't score. But more often than not, Baker is going to be able to lead you back. And that is very telling. So I appreciate your point about that, because I learned that. I think that shows everything you need to know.
Yeah, and clearly Kevin Stefanski trusts him. You know, it's clear that when he is making those gutsy calls, that he trusts in his quarterback to be able to convert and do it.
Yeah, I think, that 4th down, like, Kevin Stefanski went for it on 4th down, and like, you don't go for it as many times as he went this year if you think your quarterback's average. I think about that game, and that's when I really, really knew it wasn't the same old Browns, I think, definitively, because Baker throws that pick and they go down 2 scores. And I said to myself, I said out loud, I was watching the game by myself, and I said, well, this is when they fall apart. This is when the Browns fall apart. And he marched right down the field and he shoved it in the end zone. And it was like, okay, Baker, I apologize to nobody, but, you know, I apologize. Like, I'm sorry, dude. Like, I guess I need to talk more trash so you'll score more touchdowns. And, you know, here's my big rant. Here's the thing, people, about this. I'm going to touch just briefly on the system thing. If this system, I had some guy tell me that he could be this guy I told you guys that is somewhat trolling, on borderline harassing, and liking all my tweets and commenting on all this stuff. And it's the first one I've ever had, so I'm like super excited to have one. But okay. And I know it gets really bad, so I shouldn't say that, but you've arrived, right? So he said I could be a top 5 quarterback in Kevin Stefanski's system. And my response,
I love these people.
I know. And it's like, dude, did you even play D7 college football?
Let me guess. His profile picture is not actually of himself. It's like a picture of a Browns player.
I know.
He actually shows his face.
Yeah. I don't know if it's him, because it looks strangely like a like a person, like
or something.
Right. It feels to me like it's a person. His name is Fun Times, and then Gary. Like this is his. We'll
He's probably watching.
Yeah,
just he's probably watching. Like, hey,
there he is. Is that a famous person?
Yeah, that looks like it's probably. I mean, that's a pretty bold pose, if not like with the sunglasses.
Yeah, I don't know. I hope you're watching. So he tells me that, and this is what I want to say to end the system quarterback. If there was a perfect system that average quarterbacks could finish top 10 in total QBR for the whole year, even though he struggled a little bit to learn the offense the first month and a half of the season and had 3 monsoon games, but still finished 10th in QBR. If there was a system that could make an average to below average guy a top 10 quarterback, why isn't everybody running it?
Right.
Why is Mitch Trubisky? Matt Nagy's a very good offensive mind. Why isn't Matt Nagy using that on Mitch Trubisky? I know he's in Buffalo now, but why not? Yeah. Why did it take 29 quarterbacks to find an average guy that could run a perfect system? That's my David. I see his comment on the side. He goes, "Aren't those guys normally holding a fish?" yes, they are. They are normally holding a fish. But my thing becomes, how do go watch game 7 or week 7, quarters 2 through 4. No Odell Beckham Jr. Not a lot of play action, because that's what I was told. He can only do it on play action. Only. You know who like the top play action quarterbacks in the leagues are? Patrick Mahomes and Aaron Rodgers. Are they system quarterbacks?
Don't forget Josh Allen.
There's a different. Jake Burns says it really, really well, I think. And
Josh
he said,
Allen.
Yeah.
Wait. Before you talk about Jake Burns. Yeah. Why is Josh Allen why is everyone so enamored with him? Like, why does he not get this criticism?
It's right here on the rundown I sent you guys. Yeah. So I'll say Jake Burns thing, and I'm going to say exactly what you're pointing out. That Jake Burns said there's a difference between play action and running it effectively. Okay, like you have to sell it. Baker sells it. Listen. A play action, they talk about this with worrying about, because they're talking about moving Lamar to play action. And when you turn your back completely to the defense, when you turn back around, you don't know what's going to be there. And yet Baker does it fearlessly. I put this comment down about Josh Allen. And I'll read it exactly what I put it down here. Josh Allen treated like gold, but Baker garbage. Why? Because I go back and I look at it. Baker's rookie year sets the rookie touchdown record. Josh Allen throws more interceptions than touchdowns. The second year, I know Baker throws 21 interceptions, but Josh Allen throws 20 and 9. He was okay. He has a phenomenal Pro Bowl year. I like Josh Allen a lot. I really do. He has a Pro Bowl year. Baker has a top 10 year. So 1 good year, 2 good years. Wait, hold on a second. Baker's 2019 erased 2018. So why doesn't Josh Allen's 2018 erase 2019, which was average, and then put it at 1 and 1 good year? I love Josh Allen, but I'm so when I saw Chris Sims put Josh Allen as the second best quarterback in the league because he's had 1 good season, it doesn't make any sense to me.
Not to mention consistency. He's had the benefit of having the same staff and not having to learn different playbooks. I mean, I don't know if the situations were reversed and the Browns would have had Josh Allen and he went through all of the bull crap that Baker had to deal with. I think he's already moved on a different team.
I agree.
I think same thing happens to Patrick Mahomes. I've said it before.
Interesting.
You know what? That's my favorite thing about all these quarterbacks that Baker's being compared to is all of them, Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, namely being the top 3 that constantly come up, have since entering the league have had consistency, stability, and the same system. Well, not that Josh Allen has a difference, but my point is that they all, and so they all are learning and growing, and so then here's Baker, who is in this conversation now of these quarterbacks. And so I think it goes way under the radar that all that Baker has overcome. Malik's one of like a prominent Ravens Twitter person, and when I quote tweeted the thing about Baker today, he was saying that Baker hadn't done anything until he got an offensive line, and then he shined. And I was just like, did you forget about the 0-16 team he came to? That he then set the rookie touchdown record in less than 16 games. I don't.
Two head coaches.
I don't understand it. So even if your argument is that Baker had his most successful season with the best offensive line or whatever, I always ask, like, does Wyatt Teller throw the ball? I just want to know, it does being able to stand back there magically make you able to sling it? And because at that point, then you'd have a lot more quarterbacks in the league. If everything was just about protection, you would have a lot more successful quarterbacks in the league than you do now.
And David weighs in saying it's a lot about Baker's moxie and personality, and people must, that's what people hate. Which I don't understand. He's right, but I think it is what it is. Ed says if Baker is a system quarterback, why would people want to blow up this system? Well, that's kind of a decent performance as well. And Roger says, more times than not, Baker gets us to the end zone. Average people do not. He said it's been forever since we've had that, but wait, he's replaceable. So they're in it here. They're with us. They understand us. Bree, where are we staying? Are you good on time?
I believe so. Yeah, we're good.
Okay.
We're good.
All right, guys, we have a special top 5 for you. We are going to do our biggest Browns player disappointments because we vehemently defended our not disappointment at quarterback that we finally found, and now we're going to just rip it all down and make you guys feel disappointed. I want to explain the way I kind of categorized my list. And I just want to say that I didn't want to go with a ton of quarterbacks. So I only went with 2 because we could really make a list of these just as quarterbacks. A lot of I think 2 and 4 are going to surprise some people, but they're for like personal reasons. Like these are guys that like I thought, even if I was wrong, even if all of the experts said that was a bad draft pick or a bad signing, I thought these were good. So I was excited about them. So we will go guests first. Bree, who do you have at number 5?
Okay, so first, this goes without saying for me, for those that know me, but I get excited very easily. Even when the Browns let me down multiple times year after year, I would be right back and in love with whoever they picked, and I'd be on board, and I would think that the Browns were going to go to the Super Bowl. So, like you, Jacob, I tried to pick my list to be a little bit, it's probably going to surprise a lot of people, and maybe I thought a little bit too hard about this, but first one I'm going to go with is, this is probably going to be, I have 2 people together at number 5, which I like is weird, but
yeah, that's fine.
The year was 2019, setting the stage.
Okay.
And we were on the hype train. We were on a Sports Illustrated cover. Everyone thought Browns were going to be Super Bowl contenders. And then Freddie Kitchens happened. And then a lot of other things happened. And then our offensive line got destroyed. And John Dorsey was relying on 2 members of an offensive line to protect our future franchise quarterback to take us to the Super Bowl. And those 2 players were Austin Corbett, who, by the way, didn't even play, and Greg Robinson. But my biggest disappointment really is in John Dorsey for letting it get to this point, because Baker Mayfield in the year 2019 was sacked 41 times and only had 2.3 seconds to throw the ball. Greg Robinson got ejected in the first game of the season. So that was just foreshadowing with what was going to happen the rest of the year.
We should have known.
Yeah, we should have known. Austin Corbett, I believe, was supposed to be a shoo-in to replace Who was he supposed to replace on the line?
Kevin Zeitler. Kevin
Yes,
Zeitler.
thank you. He was supposed to be his replacement, who we traded away. And we know how 2019 played out. So I say this with very mixed emotions, though, because all of this, in my opinion, had to happen to expose Freddie the fraud and to move on and give us Kevin Stefanski. So that was a very long-winded number 5 for me.
I just want to say, in that Tennessee game,
oh my God.
I have never, so I was in Lakewood at the time, and I have never heard a place erupt like in that first drive of Tennessee. Oh my God. We thought we were going to the Super Bowl.
I was at the game.
Super Bowl. Oh. And then
that was the only good thing that happened. I mean, it was like everything was downhill after that. And you know what's funny about that? If you go back and watch the games from 2019, even with how difficult that is, like we had a pretty strong opening drive. And then it was like off the curve, like just fell right down.
Because that was Todd Monken's script, I would say. That's how I feel about it.
Yep.
All right, Nick, lay it on us. Let's get number 5.
All right, so I'm really dumb. And when you said the 5 biggest disappointments, I missed the player part of that question.
Oh, that's fine. That's fine. I don't care. Bring it.
I went a little off script here, and I don't know how this is going to be received, but my number 5 is Sashi Brown.
Sashi Wars.
Sashi
Here
Wars.
We go.
Probably not for the reason that you think. Because when Sashi takes over the Browns, I was drinking all this Kool-Aid, and I'm like, Sashi Brown and the way the Browns do business is going to revolutionize the NFL. We're going to change everything. We're getting picks for punters. We're amassing. Everything is great. We're going into full rebuild mode. We're just we're sucking it up, and it's going to be okay. Like the season's going to be terrible, but it's going to be okay. We're going to come out the other side, and everything's going to be great. And to his credit, Sashi, you know what? David Njoku, Rashard Higgins, Myles Garrett, obviously. Larry Ogunjobi was a contributor that he found in the late bit. But I was all in on this analytics and just doing it differently. And so I was so excited that the Browns were finally trying something different from everything else. And, obviously we know it sounds good in theory to say that you're going to be bad, and we know we're going to be bad and it's going to be okay, but it is never okay. And it sounds okay to say, we know going into the season we're going to win like 3 games. And then you get to week 7 and you're like, nope, can't do it. Can't do it.
0-6, that's it. I'm done. I'm checking out.
I just want to say one thing about Sashi, because I'm so thankful for Andrew Berry. But to me, the nail in the coffin that killed Sashi is all the quarterbacks that he decided not to take that were performing well at the time. Like Carson Wentz is doing great. Deshaun Watson's doing great. And I know they didn't have a shot at Jared Goff, but just it's like so they pass on Watson and Wentz specifically, and then they take Deshaun Kaiser, and that's a whole separate thing. But I do somewhat wonder if Sashi could have survived if Watson and Wentz, and because looking back at it now, I mean, I know Watson's a stud. We don't really know about Wentz, but I just wonder if those quarterbacks don't come in and immediately light it up, if Sashi could have survived. And I'm not saying he should have. I'm sorry. I'm very passionate about Sashi, so I know I got on my soapbox, but I just that's sorry.
It's okay. I am with you. So number 5 is a quarterback. I do have a quarterback at number 5. One of my 2 quarterbacks on my list. This is a guy that in college he was good. He was a good quarterback. I'm an Ohio State guy. This is a guy that I watched play because there was his team had a home and home with Ohio State his last couple of years. It's a guy that I wanted in the first round. They didn't take him. In the second round, they didn't take him. To their credit, the 2 players they took in the first and second round were Pro Bowl defensive backs. one of which is still playing. And in the third round, they finally took my guy from Texas. They took my boy Colt McCoy. Colt was my guy. Colt was my guy in that draft. I wanted him. They took Hayden, which was the right call. They took TJ Ward, which was the right call. And then I was actually I had just finished basic training, and I was in AIT when that draft actually happened. Because I can remember I was getting out of class, I'm like watching it and stuff like that, and that's when TJ got taken, and I was like, what? The second round, and they passed on fucking Colt McCoy. Oh, this is ridiculous. And I was getting all mad about it. They ended up coming around. So Colt McCoy is my number 5. I loved him. I thought he played. He got smacked pretty good. His senior year, when Ohio State went down to Texas, because I know when they went into Texas, they took care of him. But Colt was the guy at Texas, and Colt was the guy I wanted going in here. So that's where I am. Let's roll it back around. Bree, down to you, number 4.
Okay, so I put Justin Gilbert on my list, mainly because 2014 was the year that they also drafted Johnny Manziel. But Justin Gilbert was picked before Johnny Manziel in the first round. I think pick number 8, if I have my facts correct. Cornerback. And we obviously at the time had Joe Hayden on the team, very solid player, very loyal to the Cleveland Browns. And I thought we were going to have some help. Joe Hayden was going to have some help. We were going to find our next star. We're going to have another lockdown corner because we thought, I think Joe Hayden was like his career was on the downtrend, right? Yeah. We didn't realize that he would go on to have an even more illustrious career in Pittsburgh. So again, could not have seen that coming at all. So Justin Gilbert was one of my picks in this specific scenario. He's not even in the league anymore, right?
I don't think so.
No, he got traded to Pittsburgh and then bumped.
Oh, that's right.
Wow.
Yeah. Spoiler, Justin Gilbert was my number 2.
Okay.
For the exact same reason. Remember, around that same time was when they had paired up Darrelle Revis and Antonio Cromartie in New York.
Yeah.
Oh, my
Revis
God.
Island.
Yep. You had Revis and Cromartie. I think that year had he had almost as many interceptions as he did baby mamas. That's a shot. That was rude. That was rude. Antonio Cromartie did not deserve that. Look it up, though. You think I'm kidding? Look it up. He's the only one that gives Phillip Rivers a run for his money in terms of the amount of kids an NFL player has. But I thought that was going to happen in Cleveland. I thought Gilbert coming with Joe Hayden was going to be their version of the Cromartie and Revis that took the Jets, to the AFC title game? One of those years that they were together, I think.
Look at how delusional we were, though, that we were like, we're going to have this amazing defense, and we didn't even have an offense or a quarterback.
And Justin Gilbert didn't even want to play football, and Joe Thomas said he knew that the first second he met him.
Oh.
They never met with him.
They didn't even.
Oh, that's right. That's right. That was a surprise, right? To the that was a surprise to a lot of the members in the organization, right?
Yeah, most of the coaching staff had no idea they were even considering him.
And the other sad thing about that is, I believe the 3 picks before him and the 4 picks after him all wound up being Pro Bowlers.
Amazing. Yeah. Oh my God.
Sorry.
Pain.
Pain.
I can't fathom taking a guy in the top 10 you never talked to. You never even spoke to. Oh my God.
Nick, number 4.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I promise to be less winded here. Number 4 is Trent Richardson for me.
Yeah.
And bless Trent's heart. I long, and so as the Nick Chubb stan that I am, I have waited a long time to play smash mouth Cleveland Browns, run the ball football. And I remember Trent's first year. Doesn't he have double-digit touchdowns his first year?
Yeah, he had less than 4 yards a carry, but we got blinded by the 12 touchdowns.
I can still see him flying into the end zone in one of those iconic Trent runs. And I thought he was the next coming of I don't even know. I was so excited that the Browns are going to finally run the ball.
He was billed as the next Jim Brown. Like
Yeah.
I legitimately remember people saying that.
Yeah. I think he bought his mom a house here. I think. I'm pretty sure. I'm not positive, but I think his family still lives here, which is kind of cool.
Yeah. So, spoiler, that's my number 3. Guys are just like coming in here.
A lot of crossover.
One of the jerseys I've had in my lifetime was Trent Richardson, and 2 months after I bought it, he was traded. So now
usually how it goes, right?
I also had a Braylon Edwards in a Kellen Winslow jersey. So those are things that occurred in my life.
Sorry. It's not that trade benefited the Browns, but that's an all-time heist to get a first-round pick for Trent Richardson.
Yeah. We're not going to talk about who they turned that into, though. So Ed wants us to know that Johnny is his number 1, 2 Brady Quinn, 3 Josh Gordon on multiple occasions, 4 Gerard Warren, and 5 the 2015 to 2019 uniforms.
That's perfect.
I think it's a great list. It's an appropriate list. Okay, so I'll go to my number 4, and then we'll skip my number 3 and 2. I've already given this. All right, number 4 is a guy that I could have I guess I could have waited. Number 4 is a guy that, boy, when he got added to this defense, I thought, we got him. We got our pass rusher. He was a free agent. He was a free agent addition. This is one of the all-time heists. He later his teammate, who we often argue if he was ever an elite quarterback, did the same thing with a ridiculous playoff run to get himself paid. Number 4 is Paul Kruger. And Paul Kruger, what was Paul Kruger's? I want to say 8.5, 9.5 sacks was his regular season total. We paid this dude like $12 or $13 million for single-digit sacks because he had like 4.5 in their Super Bowl run. Like, he went out there, he like led the playoffs that year. And I was just like, we did it. Finally, the Cleveland Browns poached an AFC North team of talent instead of the other way around, where we'd be like, oh, this guy sucks. He'd go to Pittsburgh. Like Hayden, we thought, oh, Hayden's done. He goes multiple Pro Bowls since he's left us. And I was like, this is it. We've done it, guys. We got Paul Kruger. He's going to be nailed. Just he's going to make Big Ben. He ain't going to kill us no more. I said that in real life because of Paul Kruger. And then, that's it, guys. That's it. Now Bree, we're back to you. Number 3. We're going to your top 3.
So number 3 for me, I had to pull out my notes here. RG3.
Wow.
And I know I could have like an entire list of just quarterbacks, but RG3 was just such a one-of-a-kind player when he was good. And, the Browns try way too hard sometimes to refurbish football careers and resurrect them from the dead. And I feel like a lot of times they did that to create excitement, sell some jerseys, sell some tickets. And who doesn't love a good comeback story? So I was like fully on board with RG3 having a comeback season. And why not make it this Disney story with the Cleveland Browns? Because the Cleveland Browns deserve that comeback story. And if anyone was going to deliver it to us, it was going to be RG3.
And Hugh coming in was this quarterback whisperer. So
yeah.
I
the
was
perfect
with
combination, the perfect marriage. Hugh and RG3.
When they announced it, that deal, I did the same thing. I was like, what's up, everybody? Here we go.
Super Bowl.
Wasn't the famous quote like the ground moved beneath Hugh's feet when he went
You're right. I think you're right.
And then the best thing.
And then when did he get injured? How many games was it?
Well, he got injured the first game.
Won.
Wait. Was that the year that we had quarterback Jesus? What was his name?
Yes, it was.
Charlie
Whitehurst.
Yes, Charlie Whitehurst.
Yeah. Clipboard Jesus was his name. Yeah. That was the game that RG3 was running out of bounds.
Yes.
And he lowered his shoulder, and I think he he like fractured a bone, I thought, and I was like, bro, you still went out of bounds.
I know. Oh God.
But then the legend of Josh McCown? Yeah, Josh McCown comes in.
It was Josh McCown.
Josh McCown.
Josh McCown's like my favorite quarterback.
I love him.
Helicoptered in the end zone later that game.
Against his future teammate, Demario Davis. That is the one that helicoptered him around. And then we were like, yeah, we don't need Demario Davis in Cleveland. And, well, it's one of the highest paid linebackers in football, but it is what it is. All right, Nick, top 3.
I may be poaching higher on the list here, but one of my earliest first stand ever was Josh Gordon.
Okay.
I have him too.
I would debate anyone. If you can lead the league in receiving, you led the league in receiving with Brandon Weeden in 14 games. There is
and you were drunk and high the whole time.
Oh my God.
I had him as my number 1, kind of the same reason. I don't know. I feel like as a girl, sometimes we like the broken men. We want to fix them. And I just found myself continuously wanting him to overcome his demons.
Yes.
He was an amazing athlete, an amazing football player. And I rooted so hard for him, almost blindly, right? Because the Browns were so dysfunctional that it was like, how is this ever going to work out? Because you have someone who is clearly struggling, not in the right headspace, like can't stay on the straight and narrow. And he's playing for an organization that can't get him there. So he was my number 1. So I'm with you, Nick.
I'm sorry, Bree. I figured that it was going to be like that, but I'm an avid fantasy player. Every year I would draft Josh Gordon and be like, this is going to be the thing.
You had him on your reserve. He was suspended.
Do you know, though, what I did do with Josh Gordon in fantasy? When he was suspended the first 2 games and then led the league in receiving, when he got suspended, my buddy's brother who was running the league cut him. I picked him up and then he led the league in receiving. That was like the one thing I've ever done in fantasy that was like savvy. Roger says his biggest disappointment was Danny Shelton. Danny Shelton would probably be an honorable mention.
About him.
Yeah, because I really thought, okay, you know what I thought? When we got Danny Shelton, I thought that was our Haloti Nada. That's what I thought. I was like, okay, now we got a Haloti Nada to put him in the middle. I thought we were going to be good there. Okay, so we've already done my number 3, so we're back to you, Bree, number 2.
Okay, so Brady Quinn. I was a Brady Quinn.
It's my number 1.
I wanted Brady Quinn to work out so bad for this Cleveland Browns team. I named my dog after him, which, by the way, he's 13 years old, still alive and well. So he fared really well in my household. But the real Brady Quinn just couldn't do it. And that, for me, was just devastating. Devastating. Still not over it, actually.
No, I mean, clearly neither am I. He's my number 1.
I have his jersey in my closet.
Oh.
I was not a jersey person. Bought his jersey.
I was in high school, freshman or sophomore, and my student teacher went to high school with him.
Wow.
So it was like this, like...
Oh, Dublin, Ohio, right? You went to Dublin?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so and there's the pictures of him in the Kosar jersey.
Yes, in the Browns. I had the same one. I thought we were going to get married.
Yes. Yes. And I'm just like, oh my God, this is amazing. Because not only were you going to solve it, you were going to solve it with this local kid. He was a Browns fan. He was us. That gets us factor that we talk about, right? I know everybody's annoyed with that on the internet, but like that was there. Oh my God, we've got it. We've got the guy. It's going to be great. And then I was like, all right, his name. First off, you went back and forth between him and Derek Anderson was just disrespectful. And there was a game in which Brady Quinn sat on the bench and Derek Anderson went 2 of 17 for 23 yards and an interception. But the Browns won that game.
Oh, man. Just
so everybody is clear on how that went on. Nick, you're at number 2 and number 1. Because we have both said our 2s and 1.
I know, and I'm sorry. I used to listen to Jim Rome a lot, and every once in a while I'll still catch him. And I'll never forget the EAS Mileplex commercial Brady Quinn
When
did?
he drinks it, now I'm done.
Now I'm done.
That's it. Now I'm done. I
He
was
still
like,
uses it. I still
Dude,
think of.
I started using that. I played football in high school, and I would walk around, and no shit, we'd lift weights in high school. I'd drink. I'd go, no, I'm done. Throw that shit right in the trash can. It was delicious, by the way.
It's still an all-time like bit, you know, for like on radio. Now I'm done, and I think of him all the time. Okay, so okay. Moving up the ladder and a non-player because, you know, like I said, I'm dumb. For me, number 2 it has to be Hugh Jackson. Yeah. He's hired, and I'm like, Hugh Jackson is making the Bengals a decent playoff team with Andy Dalton, the quarterback whisperer, the offensive guru. The
Raiders were 8-8.
Yeah,
Raiders.
There was a shirt in Hugh We Trust, right? Did you own it, Nick?
No, but I trusted him.
We all did.
Yeah,
I literally, I told my whole family, because my whole family's filled with Browns fans, and I'm like, this is the guy that's going to change everything in Cleveland. Everything is going to be great. Hugh Jackson, he was successful in Cincinnati where you know, they have nothing, and he's an offensive. We finally have an offensive guru, and we saw how that went. So Hugh Jackson's here, babe.
My buddy
right off.
My buddy is a Giants fan, and Hugh, after his first interview with the Browns, was scheduled to go to New York. And I wanted to fight my buddy. I was like, if you pooch Hugh Jackson, I swear to God, we're not friends anymore. And he was like, I was not that serious. I think that was Ben McAdoo. I think they ended up getting that job that time. Ed's over here trying to get me to ask Bree an inappropriate question that I asked him last week, and I'm not going to do it.
I lost access to the chat with my lightning strike, so I can't actually see anyone's comments anymore.
Jacob likes to ask off-the-wall questions.
Oh, got it. Okay.
So we did a special episode last week where we got 4 fans of the show to come on about 10 minutes or so a piece and just talk about absolutely whatever they wanted to. And then I had 4 a couple. I only asked, I think, 2 of them random questions. I asked our buddy Andy, how many chickens does it take to kill an elephant? I asked, and then I asked Ed. He was on it. Ed in Columbus is the man, and he is always bringing the fire. He's always bringing the energy. And I asked Ed last week what the weirdest place he had ever peed was. Just in the dead middle of the conversation, he was ripping off about, you know, the old stadium and everything. And I said it, and he goes, what? It was the troughs in the old stadium. That was his answer. And I threw it out there. I threw it at him, and I was like, Ed, you know, and I know that from now on, anytime we have any guests on, Ed's going to be right there over there in the comments trying to get me to ask people inappropriate questions. And I'm just not going to do it.
Well, I mean, I guess story time, because
okay.
I mean, Ed, if you really want to know, I don't know why anyone want to know this, but I was a very bizarre child, I guess. I did not like public restrooms at all. I mean, I was probably like age 7 or 8. I refused to go in a public restroom. They just grossed me out. The toilet scared me, the flushing, all of the above. And we used to go to Indians games all the time growing up. And you know how that is. You park 3 miles away because my parents didn't want to pay for the expensive parking. So we're making a trek into the Jake. And I knew that I was going to have to go to the bathroom, but I did not want to go in a public restroom. So I oftentimes just peed by the tires outside, by my parents' tires. That was my, and that happened a lot, which is the norm for a little boy, but for a girl, not so much. So yeah, it was by car tires in the Tower City parking lot.
That's up to you. That's
usually that is actually where I park every time I go to the Browns games.
There you go.
for the record. So our buddy tells us that it takes 32,546 chickens, and don't ask him how, and he's no longer allowed to discuss it.
Oh, that's a fact.
I'm not sure what's going down there in Australia. I'm not even gonna. All right, Nick, we're gonna wrap this thing up with your number one. I put a bow on this thing.
I like how Bree, that was really cool of you to dive into some fun there.
Our stupidity.
No shame.
I appreciate you humoring us.
I'm an open book. It's fine.
So the number one, my number one is the guy that I fist pumped and yelled loudly when we drafted. He is none other than Johnny Manziel.
Yes.
Oh, there it is.
I was the best. So quick story. The best Brown seats I've ever had in my life was 2 rows up on the 50-yard line for the Johnny Manziel debut against the Bengals, when he handed the ball off the wrong way and we lost like 38-0 or whatever. I've never seen Brown Stadium like that there have been a lot of depths, but Money Manziel and all this stuff that came with it, and for it to go that way, I did too.
I have a
what an embarrassment. And he clearly despises Cleveland too.
Yeah.
He's so. Did you see the tirade he went on right after the Browns got knocked out of the playoffs on Twitter?
We hate you too, Johnny. It's fine.
Yeah, we don't give a fuck. So a side note on the Josh Gordon situation, I was lucky enough that my National Guard unit was in Woodlawn, and which is a suburb of Cincinnati. And when the Browns were in town to play Cincinnati that year, I'm trying to think, it's 2014 or 15, somewhere around there. That was the salute to service game. So I got to hold the flag on for the national anthem on the field for the Browns Bengals game that year. And that was the game that the Browns went up 13-0 thanks to a pick because Joe Hayden was frustrating AJ Green, thanks to Jason Campbell's bomb to Josh Gordon. And then in the second quarter, the Bengals set a franchise record for the most points in a quarter.
God.
And I believe it went from 13-0 to 38-13 at halftime. And I'm standing up there in my uniform. I was on, and there was this one guy, we was having some nice little banter. He was a Bengals guy, and I was the only Browns fan in my unit. I'm in a Cincinnati unit, guys. And it's one of those things where it's like you said, you were Johnny's guy and you were there. Well, I was Josh Gordon's guy and I was there, and they let up the most points in a quarter and Johnny handed it off. That's the epitome. Ed says he wants you to know that he thinks you rule, Bree. He appreciates
thank you,
the
Ed.
sharing. Says we forgot about Extra Crispy Wings says we forgot about Mangini. Oh, we didn't forget.
Oh, we didn't forget. But only Nick had coaches on his list.
Because I'm dumb. I'm the village idiot.
It's okay. It's okay because really it tied in perfectly. I think it all came together. So guys, we're going to wrap it up for this week. It is absolutely episode 9. So if you were watching this on Twitter, it seems like it's episode 8 again, but it's not, because I just didn't change the graphic before I tweeted it out, but I will change it for the podcast, for the YouTube channel. So Bree, you've been absolutely wonderful. Before we get off here, tell everybody where they can find your stuff.
Oh, yeah. So you guys can follow me on Twitter at Breezy Clee. I also co-host a podcast with 2 of my lovely friends. That's What B Said. You can find us sometimes live on Twitter, sometimes not. But you can also download us on Apple iTunes, Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcasts. And yeah, just reach out to me. I'm excited for this Brown season to start. So want to connect with the fans that are nice. If you're not nice, stay away.
Yeah, that's it. That is the best way. That is the best way to put. I have not said this enough, guys. Well, Nick, this is your job. Nick, you've got the subscribe and all the words that I don't do well.
I thank you. I appreciate it. But no, you thinking about. I just want to say, Bree, it's so awesome to have for you to take your time and come on with us.
Yeah.
And you know what? I want you to know that, even when I was a small account, like I remember you used to respond to me, and I like thought that was so cool. I was like, wow, this person that's all giant on Twitter is talking back to me, and like that's like so I feel like you've always created an environment that is very welcoming and open on Brown's Twitter, and I just want you to know that and now here you are on the show. It's like for you to do that. It makes all of our environment a better place. And so I want to I don't think it's easy to like that's just you, I know, but I just want you to know that it makes a difference.
Thanks, Nick.
Yeah.
Likewise. It's really fun. I was joking before we even went live, but I was like, I'm just a mom that like tweets about sports, and it's really fun when it's fun. And sometimes it's not fun. And it's always really helpful just to keep things into perspective. Because what I found, and what I'm sure you guys are finding as well, when you create content and when you have a podcast, people get mad. And it's just do what you want to do. Have fun. Make a podcast if you want to make a podcast. People put in work, and if you don't like it, that's fine, but just don't listen to it. And if you want to create a podcast, then create a podcast. No one will listen, or there may be 10 people that listen, but so what? Do what makes you happy. Yeah. And if being on the internet talking about sports makes you happy, then the more the merrier, in my opinion.
When I had my small podcast with my buddy, we did a New York Giants Cleveland Browns podcast, and it was
I remember that. What was your name?
It was the Blue and Orange Football Podcast.
Yes. I remember that.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I reached out to you very, very early on in my creating, and it was like Nick said, when somebody who, when I first got into Browns or Cleveland centric, because I believe that Cleveland centric podcasts are the best. I don't want to listen to the national media and things like that. When I first started getting onto there was two podcasts. It was the OBR film breakdown with Jake Burns, and it was that's what B said. That was it. That was my rotation. I worked at a night shift at a prison. I drove 45 minutes, and it was always great when I had you guys, because you would the whole way to work and back, because that's usually about the amount of time that the podcast would last. But I reached out to you. I had like 150 followers, and it was the best advice. And this is what I need to echo it to everybody. It's just, if you love it, just do it. I mean, you said, hey, do not stop. If you love it, you do it. And if you love it, it'll show. And that was just something that I think always stuck with me. I told you before that I was going to fangirl a little bit, because it's a big, Jake Burns followed me on Twitter the other day, which happened to me about 2 weeks after Lane Adkins followed me on Twitter. And I called my dad both times. And when I asked you, I talked to Nick about it, and I asked you that when we, I don't know if it was me or Nick, but you know what I mean? When we asked you'd come on, and it wasn't even, it was just, like, it depends on my schedule. Like that was like, but you know what I mean? It was like, hey, I don't know when it is, like when I can nail it down, but it was just like, to me, that the world and the internet needs more people the way I think you operate and the way Nick operates, and not my sarcastic ass. But sometimes I'm funny.
No, listen, I just think, like, be yourself, because people can see through the BS. And on our show, we just try to be authentic and genuine and just who we are in real life. And I think people relate to that. People want people that are relatable. And I've always said, people listen for the hosts, not necessarily for the topics. People connect with the people putting on the podcast. So if you're able to create that connection, even if it's, a group of 50 people, that 50 people may turn into 100, and that 100 may turn into 200. So it's really nice. And we don't really have a name for our listeners yet. We like to call them the Beehive, but that's really a Beyonce thing. But I like to refer to them as the Beehive. But it's so much fun when people reach out to us and email us, because, you guys know, like, women's voices are just underrepresented in this space, just in general, and particularly in the Cleveland space. So I try to jump at any opportunity where people try to have me on, because I know not everybody's going to like us, and that's okay too. Some people don't like women talking about sports at all, and that's fine. But that's not going to stop us from doing what we do, because we do get a lot more positive than we get negative. And my favorite things are when dads or moms of little girls will send us emails, messages saying, hey, I think it's really cool what you're doing. I showed it to my daughter and how you guys talk about sports, and she was just shocked that seeing another woman out there talking about something that she also loves. So that alone is enough to keep our drive going and keep us doing our thing, even with all the negativity that sometimes comes across on the interwebs.
Australia's weighing in to tell you what you should call your fans, the Not Dales.
The Not Dales. Yeah, very true. Very true.
All right, Bree, you've been fantastic. Nick?
Yeah. So if you've made it this far, thank you so much. Thank you to Bree for joining us. This is, you know what? I feel like every week, this is episode 9, so we've been doing this a little over 2 months now. I enjoy it a little more. I look forward to this so much. So thank you to everyone for joining us. Jacob so wonderfully has put us into the podcast map now. So if you at all would give us that 5-star or give us a little like on YouTube, any kind of support. Thank you to everyone who's been here. That all of it helps so much, because slowly but surely we're growing a little bit, and you taking the time to even be here is an honor. So thank you. This has been episode 9 of the Barking Brown Show. I'm Nick. He's Jacob. She's Bree. And go Browns.